I mean, maybe our role in this is to remind people that we need to smile and dance and kind of not be so serious. And so that's when Dr. Hurry Up and Wait in the video, and we're goofballs like we normally are. And the whole time saying, man, if this album lets people if it's a breath of fresh air, lets them just take a deep breath and remember what's important, then it'd be worth it.
What has this past year and a half been like for you guys?
Man, it's been challenging. It's been, some parts have been amazing. Some parts were really hard, this new album, Inhale, Exhale, we released Almost Home like a year and a half before we released the album because we thought it was going to come out spring of 20, I guess. And then when the pandemic hit, we just decided to stop everything and like not necessarily start over, but just slow the whole process down so we could go to the studio on a kind of a daily basis to have something that felt like work.
Because you guys have your own studio.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we just got it a year or so before the pandemic hit, thank goodness. And just got it to where the goal was to record this album there, and we were able to, but it was, I jokingly say it definitely saved my life, saved my marriage, probably just having a place.
Because you were leaving.
Yeah, just having something, because when everything completely shut down for that, I don't know, couple months maybe, when it was like.
Yeah, those first 3 months or so.
Yeah, I was like, that's tough, man. It was tough for a few days. I was just kind of like, oh man, I got to do something. Then I got acclimated to it. I compare it to in a way, if you've ever, the first time you ever did a cruise and first couple of days, you're like, this boat's not that long. I've been to both ends, and you got you're a caged animal.
You're trapped.
Right. And then a couple of days, you're like, not too bad. And you figure out how to relax. By the end, you're loving it. And that's kind of those couple of months. At first, I was like a little coming out of my skin. And
so you're saying during the pandemic, you got a buffet and an ice cream machine.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We actually went on a cruise. We had it to ourselves.
Hold on.
Yeah. It took a little bit, and then it was like we were fortunate. My family got COVID around Christmas, so I'd say we're fortunate that we didn't get sick during that time, especially when it was like, what is going on? My oldest son's a diabetic, so we were really fearful that because we were being told, do not let him get it, and not to, and when he finally got it, he had a fever for like half a day, and that was it. So we were really grateful. But at the time, it thought, man, this is going to be awful. And so we didn't leave the house hardly at all during that time. And it was so. But it was like the cool part for me was that there were days to when the most important thing that I would do all day is figure out what ice cream I'm going to eat with my 11-year-old daughter or whatever. And it got to a point to where there was something really beautiful in that. My time with my family was like I would assume it's for most people, it's like nothing before. Like, when do you push pause on the world? And it's not even like going on vacation where there's still deadlines. There's still stuff you've got to do when you come back. Everything was on hold, it's like,
right.
Yeah, it's just a weird thing. And we tried to find some kind of silver lining in that. And it's like, we're here, man. Let's take advantage of it. But at the same time, you're hearing all these awful stories, and it's just a weird time, man.
We are in a weird time.
Yeah.
In every which way, it seems like the internet is exploding. Everyone's arguing about everything.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
How do you guys navigate the world and what's going on? Does that affect you guys? Do you get down by it?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
It's a little... I just try not to comment.
Yeah.
If you stay out of the comment
section,
stay out of the comment section.
Yeah.
It's a little bit, it's like a family. We've had plenty of time to be together and talk about all the things that we've experienced. Bart has talked quite a bit about making the mistake of getting on the comment section. On social media and looking at stuff, and I've done the same thing, but I'm terrible at social media to begin with, so it's a little easier for me to push to the side. But yeah, we had plenty of moments of sitting around in the studio when we were supposed to be making music, but we ended up talking about what's happening in the world instead.
So you guys just kind of unpack it with each
totally.
other.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Especially when you're making a record during that time and you're together, and there's really not much that one of us can't say that would offend any of us, and so it's like I think we processed this more than most, just together out loud. And yeah, when I was reading comments, the hard part was that and just being honest, I struggled with man, if I keep reading this, I don't know how much I'm going to like my fans, because there's such harsh things being said from people that followed us, and so at first I was like, what in the world, what's going on? And then you start to realize, man, I don't care where you stand at that point. I think everything's motivated by fear. It's we respond differently, and you find things worth fighting for and things that you're afraid of. And it's just, and it's that's when I was kind of back off and just kind of had a different perspective, and how it affects us now. Like when we do shows, it's weird because you don't know how to address it, because you may have half the crowd that's all for mask or whatever, the other half feels like they're patriots and getting their rights taken or whatever, and it's they're both out there. And it's okay, I've never had to worry about finding a common ground, if you will. And but the best thing that's ever said to me was, man, because I would get worked up on either side or whatever, and they were like, man, you have to believe that each person in their way believes that they're pursuing Jesus in this. You got to hope, because I'm sure they it's the same argument either way that they have for why it's important or whatever. And man, when you keep that perspective, it's definitely easier to love your neighbor. And I don't think any of them are just like, man, you were a bad person, I didn't realize that. It's no, they're scared, and they feel like they're doing the right thing. And so it's man, there's got to be some grace. And
it is bizarre because even in families, we're divided on that.
Oh gosh, I
would say especially in some families.
Yeah, within the band, within our crew, we have vastly differing opinions of how to do things, or what should be done or shouldn't be done. And I think for us in the band, we know that I can have my own opinion about it, but that doesn't need to necessarily come to the band, because the band's not about social justice causes or whatever. The band's about Jesus.
Right.
And when we focus on that other stuff, we can get past our differences of opinions on things, because that's what's really important anyway. And so that's I think the common thread that's kept us together, that hopefully we as the global church will remember through all of this, that all of that other stuff it falls second fiddle to him.
I hope we all learn that through this. Can we all love Jesus? I mean, let's just say there's church theology too. I mean, everyone's going to be divided about this or that. Right. And we just settle on, we love Jesus and leave it there, and let all this other stuff go by the wayside. Easier said than done.
A little bit.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we were fortunate. Hindsight's 2020. I wish I could say we were smart enough to know we were doing this, but working on the album literally for a year, it certainly helped us kind of, and it wasn't perfect by any means, but kind of helped us kind of keep our mind on Jesus a little bit. Because when Mike was saying, you've got to remember that. And I'm sitting there thinking, man, there were times that it was so easy to forget that. You become so passionate about something else that you forget that. I think we were very fortunate to have a Christian album to be working on the entire time, whether it was out of habit or whatever. It was never that far away to literally be writing lyrics about it and stuff like that. And it definitely helped. And it helped that we've been incredibly close friends for 20 something years. And it's even if we're arguing or whatever, it doesn't last 30 seconds. Yeah.
Mike, you look like you're going to say something.
Oh no, it's lasted longer than 30 seconds. There was this one time he slapped me.
Oh, here we go. It's wave. That's
it's come, but
that wasn't even COVID.
I'm just saying, the bitterness is still here. It's coming back.
I slapped you when everyone was fine.
Everyone else.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Story for another time.
It's a true story too, man.
It is a true story.
You had an album planned, and then when COVID hit, were there different themes that came out of that, and how did that happen?
Yes and no. I think the album title was going to be called Spaceman before.
That's kind of cool.
That's why there's an astronaut in the Almost Home video, And then all this took place, and then all of a sudden, the album wasn't complete. It was on its way there when the pandemic hit, and it was just weird that we have this whole batch of songs before COVID. It's not going to release till after COVID, but then not address it. Sort of, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like if it would have come out right before and released, and man, it could be comfort for somebody through this, not knowing going through. That's one thing. But it was going to wait. So it was like, what are we doing sitting here? Like, how are we not writing through this? Not knowing what would come out of it. But that's kind of what we did, was like, we've got all these songs. I think we ended up with close to 40 ideas throughout the whole process. And just kept writing. And so some of the songs that were originally going on there made it. Man, there were a lot. I bet there were 10 or 15 that were
at least
options that just got scrapped. And then... Yeah, so we did kind of start over, and like songs like "Say I Won't," it came out of it. Wouldn't have been on the original record. It wasn't written yet, and and then in that we kept talking about just hoping the album could be kind of a breath of fresh air. I say it's on stage a lot now, but man, we were on tour. So March is when the tour came to a screeching halt for everybody, and it felt like all of a sudden, every single artist on the planet went to social media to do just not out of sight, out of mind, just do perform as much as we can, let them see us or whatever. So I was getting hit with 10 videos a day, and they're all more gut wrenching than the last. Like, we're in this together, so emotional. And I say it was like watching The Notebook like 20 times a day. It's like after a while, you're like, I don't think I can do this anymore. And so we kept saying, man, we should, maybe our role in this is to remind people that we need to smile and dance and kind of not be so serious. And so that's when the hurry up and wait in the video, and we just were goofballs like we normally are. And the whole time saying, man, if this album lets people if it's a breath of fresh air, lets them just take a deep breath and remember what's important, then it'd be worth it. And instead of writing 11 I Can Only Imagines or whatever, it was like, let's write stuff that they might get caught at a red light dance when nobody's looking. And so throughout saying that enough, the album became Inhale Exhale, and it just seemed appropriate. Like, if you might have been in the business long enough to where half of the important things in my life are time stamped or gauged by whichever album came out. It's like, oh, my son was born around Coming Up to Breathe, this one, whatever. Literally, I do that.
Wow.
And so this was kind of the timestamp for this season, is the way I see it, is that it won't be hard to know which album came out of this. I hope.
Wow.
So.
Yeah. Talk about, you brought up Say I Won't. Why don't you go ahead and talk about that song and how it came about?
Man, originally came about, I wrote the chorus right before, a fall of 19, but we were so far in our album set that I just didn't know what I was writing it for. Wasn't necessarily going to go on this album. And no lie, if you've seen the video, Gary Miracle's our friend that's in the video. Well, before the story that people know of Gary, before that, Gary and I, since Welcome to the New, 2 albums ago, have had this ongoing conversation about like grace and identity. And Gary was our first merch guy 20-something years ago, and Mike's roommates.
So when people go to a concert, he's the guy that's there managing the product.
Well, he would be the guy that giving away our T-shirts. Yeah, he was a terrible merch guy.
Worst merch guy.
Some job said just give him. Oh, he was awful.
Like if he felt bad for somebody, would he give him a shirt?
No, he was.
I think if they were cute enough, he would give them.
He was
single, looking for a wife.
Gotcha. He's just got a great personality, great hang. Terrible merch guy. And anyway, so we've been friends for a long time, and so when Welcome to the New, I went through this kind of grace and identity kind of thing, and him and I started texting for a couple of years. Just, he's like, let me get this straight, and just books I was reading and stuff, and we'd compare notes and all this, and so big on identity. We kind of both grew up in kind of legalistic churches, and so the first verse of Say I Won't, today it all begins. I'm seeing my life for the very first time through a different lens. Had nothing to do with what the tragedy Gary went through, but it still was kind of motivated by Gary out of our conversations, just about identity. And so I think maybe that's why, for those that don't know, like Gary got really sick New Year's Eve of 2019, and and ended up losing his arms and legs, and I thought we were going to lose him, and it was a long, drawn-out process. Of course, COVID hits, and so Mike and Robbie got to see him in person, but other than that, it was watching from a distance. He lives in Florida, and maybe because it kind of started with Gary, through all this, I finished Say I Won't watching him overcome this, and so it goes from this kind of identity thing to this overcomer kind of Rocky moment by the end. And it's just, the irony is that it's really kind of because of Gary. Both subject matters are because of Gary. And so watching him, and the doctors tell him it's going to take him a year to walk, and he pulled it off in 3 months. And
it was crazy short.
Yeah, it's just every ceiling they would give him, he'd break through it. And it was just cool to be able to write the song. I don't know if I've ever really written a song. It's usually out of personal experience or what we've gone through.
Right.
Can't say I've never written one for somebody outside of the band. And even though it's not necessarily telling their story directly, just the burden was weird because I really wanted to be proud of it. So I sent it to him and he loved it. And then we started talking and we got the idea of making a video. I remember meeting with the label, and we're in the pandemic. Remember all those emotional videos I was telling you about and stuff? Like before that, like we were talking about, like, man, I don't know. Well, the video would have been, the video would have been after the tour ended during the summer, because I was getting my years mixed. I was like, did that come out in 19? It came out in November of 2020. So we were talking about, man, we can't be on the road. There's nothing we can do. We can do interviews or whatever, but we need something that's powerful. We really want to do something powerful. And some people from the label, we were talking, they're like, well, we've heard this story of so-and-so that was going through something. We didn't know him. It was just some story that went viral. And it felt just kind of greasy to make a video of somebody that we have no personal investment in. Of like, maybe it's just me. I mean, people do it and it doesn't feel that way to me when I see it. But to exploit this thing, because it would really, it was kind of the whole watching The Notebook 20 times. I felt like I was falling into that. And I was like, nah. And the more we talked about it, I was like, man, this song was written because of Gary or whatever. And it dawned on me. I was like, man, if we did this, I would want to tell Gary's story, because it's an unbelievable story. And we had talked so much about him not feeling like, just not having purpose. And just, I can't imagine the dark places he's gone since it all happened. And we just thought it would help him as much as anybody else. And so, so it felt natural. And we called him, and just in tears in his eyes, he was like, man, this is what we've been praying, is just to have some kind of purpose in what's going on. And so, so we made a video in the middle of a pandemic, and we brought him out, who we were like, are you okay to do this? He's like, man, I've just gone through way worse. He was like, he didn't care at all. And we brought him out and made the video, and it turned out better than we ever thought possible. And it's been amazing for him, because the opportunities he's had, and like, he gets so busy ministering to other people, and he's like, man, it's a great distraction, I get it. And just a sweetheart of a guy. And we had to slow him down a little bit. He was kind of like on us, like, hey man, it's not moved the charts. I was like, every day he's like, let's go. Aren't y'all doing something? We're like, easy there, pal. Don't you worry about it. And, so he's just part of the family, and it was cool it's the only time we would do something like that, is if somebody we knew and really want his story out.
So is his vocation changed now? You said he's ministering to people.
I don't know if it officially has, but
I don't know if it's a vocation.
It occupies his time.
Yeah. And he has been given the opportunity to speak at some different events and churches that have brought him in. So I don't think it's really paying the bills, but it is giving him a purpose, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you go through something that tragic, to find some purpose behind it, because some people go through tragic stuff and they're struggling to find what's the good in this, that's awesome. So let's talk. Who here is on time and who's not?
Good or bad?
Who's late?
I would just like to say I've gotten better.
Who is late? Who would be late? I don't even know.
But you were there for 2020, right?
That's
a lot of good
punctual.
Where were you?
You want to know?
Here we go. This is where I was. I would say is
in my closet, broadcasting for a year and a half.
I'm 5 minutes late. He's 10 minutes late. so I can.
There's so many closet jokes. I always knew. I mean, there's.
We've done several interviews where we've seen people's walk-in closets.
Yeah,
That's true.
It's amazing.
Oh,
Except for the.
I'll just say personal.
Are you for real? We were just waiting on you
For
on the
our
last
family,
bus call.
we got some-
Oh no, you didn't ride.
I didn't ride.
Oh, that's right. He flew in the next day, and I was sitting there going, "It's like 30 minutes. He's not here." Like I was so ready to bust on you, and Brickle's like, "He's flying," and I was like, "Oh, I was late."
Thank you very much.
That means it was on me. That's
Not
right.
late for that airplane.
We're never late for the airplanes. They don't play. They won't give us any room. Yeah, I would say normally that was
It's a
like.
race between he and I
Yes.
on who's going to be last.
I don't think I've ever.
I'm
felt
always late, but I can usually count on Mike being later.
like I did.
And then let's put it that way.
And let's just
And
say
then
I
they
did the exact same thing.
And then they forget and go, well, yeah, I think everyone was on time
You know,
except Mike.
and then-
It's
And
like,
does that make
because
you-
I'm the one saying that in the back of the crowd.
And does that make you feel better that you're
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I just
Here's what really is most important. We know that our road manager built time.
And we're
for us to
Yeah.
be late.
Well, you know, as a
Where do we go? There's 45
You know what's
minutes of
amazing
waiting
is
once
I
we
don't
get
know why,
there.
but my wife and I
In the
are
studio, not
better.
which has
Where
been
a
our
lot of
entire
people
life.
get-
So if we say we're starting at 10, we know we're not starting until 1 or 2 in the afternoon.
Sometimes you have to spend 15 minutes getting a mic stand.
But for some reason,
Or just to see what's going on in your life. I haven't seen you in like
one thing
6
that helped
hours.
that I purchased-
Just got to see what's going on.
Hey guys.
You gotta-
Yeah.
Nate, you guys are being quiet, just observing this. And, yeah.
All right.
Okay, all right.
Because we have a massive.
That's what saved your marriage.
Yeah. 'Cause- So who is? I would be sitting like where Barry is, and she would be sitting over here because that's where the other tables are.
First band.
And now I got to sit next to her,
Classic
and
here so early.
it'll change.
Is this a paid advertisement? Do you have an
Y'all need
endorsement?
to go. Yeah, I need to
Yeah, now we know what Matthew West next song.
That's amazing.
Does this happen often? Well, you know let's say that.
Yes.
This
to all of it.
circular kind of conversation.
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah.
I had that for in my
Yeah,
life.
definitely.
Mike, you said
And we haven't done it in a while.
Yeah, I definitely like, and I didn't
So who
realize
is
it
the
until
rule
like,
follower and who breaks?
why am I? And like not yet.
For sure, Robbie.
I'm
is the
a
rule
generally
follower.
upbeat
Okay.
person.
Yeah, he's our
And,
referee.
yeah, I just could not.
And he's the
figure
guy on
it
top.
out. Couldn't figure out what was going on.
Yeah, yeah.
And
He's
Yeah.
and he
Like,
and he
rule follower
handles
would be on top.
he handles the money. He's like he's our
and it
grown up.
wasn't like
We call him Bam
never
Mom.
got
We
like
have
crazy,
for a long time.
crazy bad. But I was just like,
But
I have no
yeah,
motivation,
he's
nothing. I just
Like
want
if
to
we all
do
go
it.
out to eat
And,
together, like we
just
all
felt
have
like a
band,
dark cloud.
credit cards.
But once I realized it was like, okay,
None of
hold
us
on.
can reach for our wallets. Well, Nathan.
I feel like this is,
He's looking on.
as a believer, if my hope is supposed to be in
You're like
Jesus, who
Rule
doesn't
follower.
change, like why am I going through this thing now just because my circumstances have changed? And it's just because I put my hope in
guess.
all place.
Are you like that with God?
And,
Maybe you'd ask our manager.
Yeah, I
don't
think
know
once
who-
that light switch flipped, it was great.
always
I will say one great thing that came out for me, like my wife and I
Oh
started.
no, he doesn't. He doesn't follow
There's
rules.
some rules that are just
No, his rules are made to be broken
Just,
things.
like, just be able
Yeah.
to have time together without
I'm with
wear my
Mike.
seatbelt.
There are
the
stupid
four
rules.
kids,
I wear
Yeah.
a
you know,
seatbelt, it makes sense.
interrupting every conversation. And
We
it
finally
was awesome.
clarified
It was,
the seatbelt
I mean,
law. We figured that
all
one
the
out.
Yeah.
best conversations,
Come to terms
all
with
the
that
hardest
one just now.
conversations,
I always wear my
you know,
seatbelt.
all of
No,
those
I-
things that happen with a marriage.
It's
But it
a
was just
rule,
like
it makes sense.
we have to do it every day.
The rules.
Gotcha.
And it was
Like
that was
the
awesome.
expiration date on the boat. Just
Let's
so
just
you
rain.
don't
doing
have
it?
to go
Oh
by
yeah,
that date.
That's awesome.
unless it's raining, she won't go.
I go by the is it going to make me feel nauseous if I drink it just by looking at it?
We just have matching treadmills for the rainy
Yes.
days.
Have you ever noticed
yeah, no,
if
that
you
was a
just
really-
smell
that's
milk
been a
that's
really
not
good thing.
expired? I have a hard time telling the
It
kind of smells
So, yeah.
like unless there's something solid in there. I'll smell it and go.
I don't if my kids
still
did
be
this.
okay.
It's your ratio to Lucky Charms.
You know I'm right.
So that brings up a good topic. Unique personality.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah? Who here is on good. that? I'm 5 over. Maybe 10 at
5 over.
times.
I would just like to say I've gotten better,
That's a road near here, by the way.
but
For those that
Robbie never
he's not
here.
He's not here. He's
probably
I'm a
most
5 over guy.
Who's the messenger?
Nathan's
Who's the cleanest?
I'm
Mike,
I think I'm
gets
definitely
all the credit for
Robbie's
always
the
being late.
Yeah, I'm for sure
I think
the
I'm
best.
late more under the radar. I end up being late,
You're pretty
but
organized.
I'm never.
No, I'm
hardly as late as him.
not even
If I'm
close.
5 minutes
know
late. He's 10 minutes late, so I get a pass.
Like, I don't
I
understand
think
what
that
bed that's
historically,
being made.
maybe in the
that
past,
It's true.
Yeah.
I think maybe in the past.
We're enjoying what's
clean
happening.
clothes
I
moved
feel
from
like
the
I've turned
basket
the
to a
corner.
drawer.
I
That's
feel like
the
I've turned
dumbest
the
thing I've
corner.
heard.
I feel like
Talk about
I've
rules.
been there before. Bus call? I'm in for it.
Yeah.
So you just go from the laundry basket to you.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, no,
they'll-
you didn't.
I didn't ride.
Oh, that's right. He flew the next day, and I was sitting there going,
in the laundry basket.
it's like
but-
30 minutes. He's not here.
no,
Like,
I
I was
do-
so
I
ready
do
to
that
bust with
for-
you. Rick was
yeah, I
like,
do
it's
almost
fine.
too.
And I was like,
Thank you very much.
I mean, just on me.
I was not late for that airplane.
We're never late for the airplanes. They don't play. They don't get any room.
Do I
Yeah,
iron?
I would say normally that was
It's a
like,
race between he and I on who's going to be
It's
last.
a wet
I would
rag
say.
in the drum.
I'm always
Throw it in there
late,
for a
but I
couple
can
minutes,
usually
it's
count on
good to
Mike
go.
being woolly.
It works.
Let's put it that way.
And let's just say I would say the exact same thing.
And then they forget and go, well, yeah, I think everyone was on time. except
Or
me."
just say your family.
Because I'm the one saying that in the back of the crowd.
And does that make you feel better?
Only on family
Here's,
like radio.
here's what really is most important. We know that our road manager builds
Oh, man,
time
that's
for us
awesome.
to
Yeah.
be
I don't
late.
even know what the
So it's
question
fine.
was.
Wherever we go, there's 45 minutes of waiting once we get there.
Oh yeah. Oh no,
In the
messy.
studio.
Are we messy? Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
messy.
What's you know that your music, obviously, people are buying it, they're consuming it, it's affecting them, it's ministering to them. What's the most powerful message you've gotten from a fan or a listener that was like, wow, that's pretty cool what happened there with that song?
There are 27 years worth of those, like
Right.
literally. The one that always sticks out for me, there was a lady, her name was Miss Annie, I don't know her last name, but we were on a tour called the Rock and Worship Roadshow, and we had actually gone out to help pass out compassion packets. And I was sitting on the front edge of the stage, and she came up, and she actually called me by name. Usually people say, "Hey, Bart's guitar player," but she said, "Hey, Mike," and I was like, "Whoa." And
She's a super fan.
Yeah, wow, she
Yeah.
really likes us. And so she just started to share her story with me. And a lot of times we'll hear stories about how somebody lost a loved one and how Imagine,
Sure.
kind of was with them through that. And I kind of felt like that's what she was probably going to say. And she started talking about how she had like fibromyalgia and rheumatoid arthritis, just crippling pain that would keep her in bed some days. And she got to a point where she just was done, just didn't want to do it anymore, and had kind of planned to take her own life. And I vividly remember she said she got in her car, started the car, and Imagine was playing on the radio. And she said it was as if God sat in the passenger seat next to her and just said, "It's not your life to take, it's mine." And I was like, she was kind of tearing up, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, thank you for sharing this." And she's like, she goes, "The best part is that," or she's the part that she really feels like God's with her is because she still wakes up in pain most days. But she has this joy even in the midst of that, because she just knows that like God's just with her through it. And we actually saw her a few years later at another meet and greet. She had walked up, and she was actually with a walker this time, and so things hadn't gotten better for her physically, but like she was still just beaming. And that one will always stand out to me for sure.
That's awesome. You know, you guys have been together a long time.
Thanks for putting it that way.
Yeah. What's kept it together? Because a lot of, Christian music here all the time. But any format, this band's breaking up or this one's. What's made it work?
We've always said we're just avoiding hard labor. It's how it started and it's whole on. But yeah, it's definitely true to that. I think, and this sounds so cliche or corny or whatever, and I've never answered this way, but I think like our fans and people caring about our music's what's kept it together, because
So you feel a responsibility in a way.
Well, I'm just saying they're buying records. They're supporting us. There are a lot of bands that are good friends that still had to call it quits because it wasn't working. And why is it working? I have no idea. But the fact that we're 27 years and people remotely care about our music is mind-boggling to us. And and so that's definitely a huge part of it.
I think too the 27 years worth of stories
Of God using something as ridiculous as a 3-minute song to literally save somebody's life or change somebody's life or whatever. Like, yeah, what else are we going to do that's that important?
Right.
Still purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If there's a feeling of responsibility about it, it's probably a responsibility that comes across as gratitude on our part.
Sure.
Like I remember one of the first times it was when Almost There went gold. and everybody was like, man, that's awesome. And I think we all kind of looked at each other like, I guess we get to keep doing this. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I think we've always kind of viewed it that way.
Yeah.
Like, one, what else are we going to do at this point? And
Seriously.
Yeah,
I got
I
a
mean-
high school education, guys.
The goal was to make it to the next record. In the early days was like, just please, Lord, let them ask us to make another one. And but I think part of that too is that we all, long before we ever knew each other, on some level we've dreamed of just making music, or before there was an audience, we were making music somehow, some way on our own. May not have been good, but we truly love what we do. And if it wasn't MercyMe, I'm sure we'd all probably be doing it in some way, shape, or form. And it's just cool that God put us together. And we, and another key is that we genuinely get along. Like to this day, like, during the pandemic, it was like, let's ride motorcycles. We were trying to find stuff to do together. And, if it's a kid's birthday or whatever, we're like, we truly are in each other's lives. My oldest son and Nathan's son are roommates in college right now. And
That's cool. That's
and
neat.
so it really is we get along. And it's so funny. I'll never forget, we did a little video with Steve Taylor. He directed something for us not long ago. And he wrote this email afterwards, and he said he had so much fun because he was like, man, I just got to tell you, like, I really think y'all like each other. Like, and we're like, what are you talking about? And he was like, that's rare for a lot of bands.
He's been around forever.
I know.
He would know.
Yeah, but at some point it's like you either had enough of success to where it's like, I'll just tolerate them. We don't want to lose what we have or whatever. And that's not the case. Like when people stop buying our records, we'll still justify doing something together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. Like every day in the studio, I mean, like we're done working, we're still there just hanging out. My wife's not gonna see this, is she? No, I'm kidding. We literally, we just, we hang out for hours just laughing all the time. So
That's great.
it is.
Is there anything you guys ever did as a band you're going, we're never doing that again?
Oh, most definitely.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Something went south or something.
We
Water parks. We're never playing a water park.
water parks.
Yeah.
Sand volleyball? We might do that again.
Let's see.
I don't know. My back.
What if I'm trying to think of something recently?
I would think water park would be hard because who's paying attention to what you're doing? And it makes sense.
And it's the worst.
There was one particular one. I won't say the name of the city in South Louisiana. But it was the worst. Like literally, we're playing on a plywood stage, and I'm not saying like this was early in our career either.
Are you at water park?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Remember that one?
Oh, totally remember it. Yeah.
Golly.
We're in a flatbed that was covered like bird poop.
Yeah, sometimes you feel like as an artist, your management.
We were in front of
look out for you.
we were like set up in front of the condemned water slide that wasn't even working. I'm not kidding. It was awful. No shade. It was
8 million degrees.
You don't want to feel like a diva asking for something, but I remember asking one guy's like, is there like a shovel? There's literally a pile of mud right where I'm supposed to stand, and I got to put my gear right there. Can I scrape it off?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're singing Imagine going, I thought, don't y'all wear one-piece bathing suits in youth group? Like, it's the worst, man.
Where's the T-shirt rule?
Yeah,
T-shirt
right,
rule.
right. You know what? Free shirts. Go to the merch table. Everybody get a shirt on.
Sure. Everybody, go oversize. Gary.
Where's Gary? Go to Gary. I'll give you a shirt. Yeah, water parks are the worst.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
There is the one that's like a theme park / water park in Georgia that's always pretty good. The
that's true.
So I'll take them off the
That's
list.
true.
but-
Which we're going back to.
Oh, there we go. It's
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not do again. We went on a motorcycle ride that looked like it was going to be great. A mountain path. We'll never do that
That
again.
was great.
Wait, I don't even know what you were talking about.
I would
Was
do that
there?
again as
Like
a
another
kid.
You were
30?
there, remember? We had to stop halfway through. Remember, we had the moment of wondering, maybe we should
turned
just
the
turn
corner,
around.
and
Wasn't
became
that just
gravel.
recently?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We
Yeah.
turned a corner and it became gravel, and we all thought, "Oh, this won't last."
I thought we were talking about shows. You're
Literally talking about things we will never do
Personal
again.
experience.
Gotcha. We just went, I'm probably not going to wear corduroy evermore for doing this.
Don't say that. It's
I got that. I'm trying to think, what else am I never going to do while I'm in the band?
yeah, wool suits on stage. Not gonna do that.
Wool suits on stage was a bad idea.
Wool suits.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for a whole tour.
That was a bad idea.
That tour, they wish I started out wearing a coat.
Was that
and it's
the
like,
Mr.
Yes.
You guys had the outfits.
Yeah,
and
we
the,
just dressed like we're Doctor Who. That was a horrible idea.
How many dates did that last?
It went the whole tour.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Insane. Like, I mean, yeah, the pants and jacket fell apart on the
Yeah,
last
I think
show.
I went from like jacket and vest the first weekend to like just the vest,
Just the
and then it's
vest.
like just the bow tie. Just
Yeah.
gonna lose the shirt. No.
Yeah. It was such a dumb idea. Yeah, but
That's cool.
It was great, guys.
I sang in an ascot. I look like Joel Smallbone.
I think you inspired me.
Yeah.
Probably.
I love the shock. Hey, don't worry. I make fun of Joel all the time on text about his ascot.
It's like a.
He knows.
He looks
Yeah.
like a turn of the century vampire.
Luke's gonna love this more than anybody.
Are there any artists you guys jack with?
Heck yeah. I mean, not jack with. We're just really good friends with. We don't jack with anybody, but
If we jack
Yeah.
with them,
Well, that's a
we gotta
part
be
of
friends.
being a
We love
friend
them.
is jacking
yeah, I
with
guess so. That's
something.
true.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and Joel and Andy Irwin, who directed Imagine, we become really close, and we'll get together, every once in a while and just hang out. And he doesn't know what to do with me because, Joel needs people to give him a hard time. He loves it. He laughs, but he's just like, I was like, do you sleep in that? What are you talking about? Your Civil War clothes. He's like, shut up.
Is that your other job?
Yeah. Yes, he's doing the Civil War reenactments.
Carpet plantation there.
No, yeah, anybody, Crowder. I mean, yeah, anybody we've toured with, we learned that from Audio Adrenaline back in the day. Just
What were they like?
you
one?
sleep with you sleep with one eye open for half of them.
Yeah.
But no, they're awesome. They're that band that kind
So
of.
we're talking Mark Stewart era?
Yeah, we're
Okay,
talking
all right.
the Bloom and all that stuff.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
we were.
Bill, Tyler, Ben.
Yep.
Yeah.
They took us under their wing, so to speak, and they tried to get us signed when we weren't signed, and so we have the same manager, and so it just was natural to tour together back in the day. We've toured with them by far the most, and they genuinely liked each other. A lot of similarities. Like we saw how they would do it, and they loved their jobs. Loved being around each other. Never took anything too
They
seriously.
taught us how to tour. Yeah.
They really did. Yeah.
Almost got us in trouble a couple times.
Ooh,
It
tell us
was
about
it
that.
was it was the activities. Ben was the activities.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Ben
Ben-
Hey guys, I got
Says
bocce
camp-
ball
camp
set up
counselor.
indoors today. It's raining out. It's
no lie.
electric cars.
We all
Ben-
bought RC cars one
It's
tour.
crazy.
Yeah, it's just
So is the idea
Really
to
fun.
find something fun to do wherever you're going and
to break the
kill the
insanity.
time.
Yeah.
We're not as good at it as they are, but yes, for them, Ben Sissel, the drummer, he'd be off the bus at like 6 a.m. We'd be at a rodeo arena, and somehow he found a shovel, and he's moved all the dirt that they clear out for the show, and has made this RC car like massive dirt racetrack, and then convinces us to all go get RC cars. And by the end of the night, it went over. We'd have this massive racing tournaments.
The entire tour.
To where he would keep brackets and a record throughout it was like a league.
Yeah.
And one day it would be like a carpet track through the convention center, then it'd be the rodeo.
There's actually a video on YouTube that's like 30 minutes long that he put together. This is before GoPros. So like we're like duct taping like handheld cameras
right.
onto the and it's called RC Madness, I think. RC
Okay.
Madness. If you look that up.
So we can find it.
You can
RC
find
Madness.
MercyMe and Audio Adrenaline and John Schneck he was in Reliant K for a lot of years.
Yeah.
He was one of their crew guys for years. He's on there. Yeah, it's my son watches it all the time. It's hysterical. Yeah,
the concerts were just that was what we had
They
to
got in
do
the
to
way.
do our activities during the day. Yeah, no lie, dude. It'd be time to eat or do meet and greet, and we're like covered in dirt and like charging our RC cars, and like we gotta quit. Yeah. And we'd like go like kids to go do our dumb job. That's what we thought. And then we'd
have to
back
go
at
work.
it. As soon as whatever band got off stage, you hear this wee wee, and then racing behind the stage. You're like, oh, they're going.
Sing faster, sing faster.
Yeah. Remember when our manager got the monster truck and just ran over everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A monster RC truck?
Yeah, we all had race cars, and then all of a sudden, he's like, I got one, and just tromps through. They're like Godzilla going through town,
Totally
just
was.
destroying all of us. We're like, of course he gets that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we love we love those guys, and it's
Actually, I got a text from Tyler Burkham like 2 weeks ago. He's like, "You're not gonna believe this. I just played Freebird and Imagine in the same set at Sturgis." I was like, "What? Who are you playing with?" He's playing with Winona right now, and it's just like out of the blue. But like, we still, I mean, no matter what direction those guys go, we still all stayed in contact.
That's cool. What is God teaching you guys lately? Individually, corporately, and
man, I just had this conversation with my wife. Like, I don't know if, like you talked about going through depression. If I'm going through it, it's probably currently just been this whole Delta variant. It's been like really hard, and I don't know if it's a mistake or whatever, but I had a friend pass away. I can't remember how long ago it was, and I have a note in my phone. I just wrote their name down just to remember to pray for their family. And so it just kind of, if I heard of somebody that I knew, I would put their name on it. And it was, I mean, anybody from Andy Williams, the drummer with Casting Crowns that passed away, who was my son's drum teacher. And so it wasn't just COVID or whatever. And then just yesterday, I opened it up and I have 26 names on there.
wow.
And that's just this year. And,
26 different people that you know
that have
of?
passed away. Yeah. 19 are COVID. And then other things, just, accidents or whatever. And when I'm talking like was in second grade with them, high school, like just somebody that I know from some part of my life. And this week it's been 5 in the last 5 days. And man, I was talking to a manager yesterday, and he got the brunt of it. Man, I just lost it and was like just angry and just like I hardly knew anyone the first kind of part of this.
The first wave.
Yeah, I mean, especially didn't know anybody I don't think that passed away. And then all of a sudden it's like, what is going on? And so it's just been so heavy to where it's like, man, I don't want to. My phone will go off. It's so much where my phone will go off, I don't want to look. And so it's been, and my wife's like, man, maybe we should talk to somebody, because you might be, I remember Mike, whenever it was, when Mike was like, man, I think I might be depressed. And I was like, what do you mean you might be? Like, I was thinking, of course, and I literally said those words yesterday. I was like, maybe I'm struggling with this, man. And so what I'm learning right now is to not keep my mouth shut about it. And to tell people that I'm like, man, I'm wrestling with this, because I can't imagine a time in my life to where there's probably a lot of people saying the same thing or not saying the same thing that aren't admitting it.
My wife and I were talking about this, and we know of 11 people just in this Delta variant time. And that's just crazy.
It is.
It makes you think differently. It makes you go, I guess we better take it seriously, first of all. But it's sad.
It really is.
It's
heartbreaking. And it's like and the hard part is, like we've talked about how, I guess we're encouraged that our message really hasn't changed before or after COVID. Like we always say, man, when we started this band, we were young and naive and thought Jesus was the answer. And now we know a thing or two and still think Jesus is the answer. And so that's kind of cool that it's been somewhat consistent, but man, it does get hard. Like I've been through, man, I've had loved ones pass away and stuff, but it just feels like it's coming from every direction. And it's like I told my wife that sometimes I'll doubt myself, thinking, of course they probably don't believe that Jesus is the answer. Like almost like I'll talk myself off the ledge because I'm like, everyone's going through it on some level, and it's like it's just a weird time, and it's just if it's the new normal or whatever it is, it's like, we've even just, if we're talking about touring, it's like just praying that, man, just give us a taste of what it was like, and not just because I don't want to be home or whatever. It's just, it's a message worth telling. And the shows we've been doing recently, it's like the crowds are more enthusiastic than ever. And there is something that just feels so good about being able to share the message of hope. So like, we're still doing it. I will have doubts, like these people don't want to hear this, but we're still sharing it. That's been the struggle for me, is just instead of saying I've got it all together, I'll be fine, which is a very man, dad, husband thing to do. It's just, and really, I mean, I remember when Mike said it to us, it was kind of out of the blue, and I was like, what? And just for him to even take time and go, man, I think I'm struggling with this.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of in my back pocket, like, one, like, man, how would you just not know? And then I totally get it. It's like the way that I react to my kids or snap at stuff that doesn't really matter or whatever. I'm like, man, something's not going right. Oh, right, 20-something people have died, and during the Delta variant.
Right.
So yeah, it's just, I don't know if that's, probably should start with the happy one first.
Well, I mean, I know you're about to say something, but I mean, I'm glad you said that because, I think that through our struggles is where we get to know God the best, either run to him or run from him, So I agree. That's good. Yeah.
I feel like I've just been like God's been just putting perseverance in front of me. Like, there's nowhere in the Bible where it was easy for anybody, but it was those who persevered, those who ran the good race, those who fought the good fight that are the stories that we tell, the stories that we cling to, and so just trying to in perseverance, like, what does that look like on the daily? Like, just spending time in the Word, not because I'm supposed to, because like I just really I want to, like, and seeing that, like, those are the best days, like when I get into that rhythm, it's always been a struggle for me, and so being home every day certainly helped, just kind of get into a rhythm, and it's been life changing for sure. And so I feel like just diligence and perseverance, like, not in the you better follow the rules kind of way by any means, just in the, man, like, it really does cultivate, a love for Jesus. I want to say it's Matt Chandler talks about, like, the Holy Spirit does the work, but like we got to put, we got to keep the wood dry. We got to put kindling on the fire. He's gonna light it, but we've got to, and whether that's with our kids or in our own lives or what. And it's been a good season as far as that goes, for sure.
I've heard it said by a preacher once that there is a man side and a God side, and when the two get together, they're powerful forces for him. So you're right. There's a responsibility that we have.
And that doesn't, again, like, he does all the saving. We don't save ourselves by any stretch of the imagination, but like that abundant life, that like living in the fullness of life, like there is a, like, just to be, even if it's just me being aware that the Holy Spirit is alive inside of me.
Amen.
And that he's gonna do something if I'm paying attention. I can get distracted real easy, and I miss out on what's awesome, and I end up slumped and staring at the floor and focused on my situation, not on who he is.
That's good. Anybody else?
There's so much to be fearful of today, and I'm not even talking about COVID, just the rest of the world. And just God's been teaching me, just don't live in fear, keep running after him. And even though things look a little bleak, in certain situations, and he's in control, and just don't fear. It's hard to do. I definitely, I don't accomplish that every day, but because I could be a bit of a fearful person, so it's a struggle for me sometimes, but I'm learning.
Yeah. That's good. What's bringing you guys joy? I've been asking every artist that question. Yeah. Number one answer is family.
I was going to say ice cream, but I'll go with family. No, I'm kidding.
Ice cream with my family?
Yeah, it's certainly that for me. I mean, it's I've been pretty vocal about it, like almost like felt guilty about, like, because I know that this pandemic has been awful for so many people, and it's like, my marriage wasn't on the rocks by any means, but it was just like it's kind of like it was great, and I didn't realize how much more amazing it could have been until I was forced to stop, I guess is a good way of putting it. And just, especially with my wife and I, it's been awesome, but my kids too, it's like they're used to, dad being around, or he's going to be at work or be on the road. It's just kind of a thing. And I guess I could have worried that they were going to, like, are you leaving anytime soon? But they were, man, it's just been awesome. And I will say that it has made it challenging as much as I don't want to go through this again, I want things to get back normal. It's made it challenging to think that this tour's coming. You know, I don't dread it, but it's made it challenging because it's like there are parts of that I don't ever want to go back to, you know? And I think we're all aware of that. Like we've had discussions about like, and it wasn't bad. Like we've spent 20 years trying to get it right. And we were in such a sweet spot when it all shut down of like, you know, only doing a handful of shows here. And just, it was like, this is great. This is manageable. And then everything fell apart. And that was partially too. I mean, like, you know, with the movie and all kinds of stuff, we were financially able to pull back, slow things down, pick and choose our shows, be home more. And then when the pandemic hits, like we knew God was calling us to keep all of our crew and everybody on salary and not let anybody go. And so we'll get to a point to where it's like, we've got to put it in high gear just to get back to where we are. And we're willing to do that, but it's kind of like, you know, it's just like, okay.
Yeah, the 2 weekends of shows we just did, it was like 2 weekends of 4 shows, I guess, so 8 shows. Like, yeah, that was kind of the normal forever. Man, by the halfway through the 3rd day, I'm like, oh,
it felt like 8 months.
How long has it been since I've seen my family? Like, it feels like forever, and it does.
The 4th day is the worst.
Yeah, that 4th day's got really, really hard, and that was not. I mean, it was autopilot before, like that was normal, and so. You're right, man. It's going to be a shift to get back into it.
Yeah.
But I kind of love that I'm longing for home.
Yeah, totally.
More than
That's great. Wow.
And so grateful that we can provide doing this. But
Yeah.
it is like, you know, it's like, well, that was like any break, that was fun.
Yeah.
Gotta be an adult. And go make music and be dumb all day. Yeah.
Was there ever a point, because I even thought this, I felt bad for my friends that were in the hospitality industry. I mean, if you're in restaurants or a hotel even, I have friends that are in the event business that put on events and things and shows and stuff like that.
We put on events too.
Yeah, you guys do that. You're not my friends.
Oh, God. Oh, right. Yes. Got it.
But I felt bad, and I actually thought this. I'm like, well, what if this is the way it's always going to be? Did you guys ever think, I guess we're done?
We didn't say it, but we wondered
Some
it.
of the darker days.
Yeah,
Yes.
we were like, what if it never? Because you know, we're a luxury. We're a leisurely thing. We're not essential by any means. Entertainment and we were like, yeah, man. What if it never goes back?
I did a lot of
what if
thinking back to like, what was my last show? Like in the midst of it all, when it got really like, maybe we're never going to do this again. It's like, I don't even remember what city was my last show. Like, that's not how it's supposed to end. Like, I gotta like go out with a bang, you know, light a guitar on fire or something.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it was like everything went to social media, and like I can't Zoom another concert. It's like it's like, what if this is what it is? We've got to figure this out. And really, we don't want to do that hard labor thing, so we were gonna dead in the water. Yeah, we're just gonna. How did we become homeless? I refuse to work.
Yes.
I was like, I'm waiting for those shows to come back.
Hey guys, thanks for dropping by.
Yeah,
It's
of
been
course.
Good conversation.